Chad Moyer with you here on the Rural Radio Network, and it is time for another Fridays in the Field segment brought to you by FNBO, the Great Big Small Bank. And we find ourselves back in North Bend visiting with Nick Emanual, just north of North Bend. Nick, thanks for joining us again here today. Just a quick summary. We talked to you about 6 weeks ago. Have there been any events here in and around Dodge County that have led to any sort of things to talk about?
Yeah. Unfortunately, the biggest event's probably the dry weather. No major or significant weather storms or anything like there was at the beginning or in our first couple reports, but the dry weather is very significant, and we've right in that pocket of very little rainfall. We've missed most all the rains here. In and around us, there was a shot of an inch or two of rain a couple weeks ago, but besides that, it's just very dry here and still running the pivots one more time, we hope.
In a dryland situation, double digits behind on moisture, do you think?
Yes, I would say double digits behind normal precipitation is what the numbers are showing, and the crops are really starting to show it also here. Just within the last week or two, you're seeing a lot of things starting to turn. As you can see here in this bean field here, we're standing on a dryland corner, but it's a good example on what a lot of dryland fields are starting to look like.
Yeah, and maybe you can expand on that a little bit too. How has the crop responded to the dryness? Are you talking days ahead or maybe even weeks ahead? What are you seeing?
I'd say we're probably a couple weeks ahead. Current growth stage in corn is anywhere from a quarter milk line to 3/4 of the milk line, with that dryland acres being further along. What it really affected was probably the top end yield. For as dry as it has been, we were very fortunate and surprised to see how long the beginning moisture profile was able to carry us along. And crops really did look very good throughout almost all of July. And then we hit that August time frame, and that's where you could kind of see the tank running out and starting to lose some of that top end yield potential. But for the most part, it looks like we will still be able to, be up there on average yields potentially. Although I know even just the last couple of weeks have really put a more significant stress on those final yields. So wait and see.
We talked before about it, the idea of scheduling that last pass for the irrigation for the pivot in a season. Now in these pockets, the crop is going to take the water that you give it right up until it's fully mature, until it doesn't need it. But what are the thoughts that go into that last pass of a pivot for the season?
Yeah, great question. And I think this has proven to be a more challenging year, as dry as it is. And when do we quit irrigating? How much more do we try to feed it? And there's always the cost and benefit trade-offs and trying to weigh that out. You don't want to keep pushing it too much where you've got a full profile going into harvest where you're going to cause any compaction issues. But at the same time, you want to feed that crop enough so you are pushing it to the physiological maturity and making sure we get all the yield we can, especially with today's economic situation. So, we use, again, I'm part or founder of Crop Metrics, which we focus on irrigation scheduling, and we utilize soil moisture probes or sensors in the field. And that really gives us a very accurate fuel gauge to tell us specifically how much is left in the tank. And from there, we can get a good estimate on not only how much is left in the tank, but then take an estimation on how many more days to maturity using, current GDD along with estimated final maturity dates. And we can really get a good idea on how much more and when we need to quit that last pass of irrigation.
Mm-hmm. All right, just as we kind of wrap up here, thoughts right ahead of harvest. Anything that's got to happen between now and then to get you to harvest?
Yeah, no, I think that the big thing is, like most people, just getting the equipment ready to go, giving everything their final inspections and making sure everything's ready to go. So we're actively working on semis, headers, combine, making sure everything's ready to go. And then, it's going to be a week by week and a day by day decision. I think things are turning a lot quicker than we expected. And like you said, you can kind of see in this dry land portion of the field. So it's going to be a little bit of a wait and see, but make sure we're ready to go the next couple weeks.
All right, very good. Thanks for the update. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you in 6 weeks, okay?
All right. Thanks, Chad.
Again, we've been visiting with Nick Emanual from North Bend, Nebraska, and our Fridays in the Field segment brought to you by FNBO, the Great Big Small Bank. Here on the Rural Radio Network, Chad Moyer reporting.